So, imagine this. You're one game away from the WNBA Finals. The city is buzzing. And then, bam, the offseason hits and your entire team could just evaporate. That's the exact situation the Indiana Fever were in, but instead of falling apart, they pulled off what might just be a masterclass in building a roster. So let's get into it. Let's break down exactly how they did it.
Okay, heading into the 2026 offseason, this number right here had to be keeping every single Fever fan up at night. 3. That's it. Only 3 players were under contract. After a season like they just had, getting so close, that is a terrifying place to start from. So, the big question is, right? How in the world do you build a championship contender when you're starting from the brink of total collapse? That's what we're going to unpack. It's really a story about some super high-stakes decisions, some brilliant signings, and a front office that just had a crystal clear plan. All right, so to really get how impressive their moves were, you've got to understand just how big the problem was. We're not talking about just filling a couple of empty spots on the bench here. No. The entire heart and soul of the team was on the line.
And this chart, wow, this really spells it out. Look, it's great that you have your young superstars, Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston, locked in, for sure. But then, look at the free agent list. You're talking about Kelsey Mitchell, your veteran go-to scorer, Lexie Hull, the ultimate hustle and defense player, and Sophie Cunningham, just the tough-as-nails shooter every team needs. These aren't just names on a list. These guys are a huge part of what makes the Fever, well, the Fever. And hey, as if that wasn't enough pressure, right? Let's throw an expansion draft into the mix. The league's adding 2 new teams, Portland and Toronto, and they need players. So every existing team, including the Fever, could only protect 5, just 5, of their players. Anyone else, they could be snapped up by the new guys. For a team desperately trying to keep their core from falling apart, this was a massive, massive threat. Okay, so, with the challenges laid out plain as day, the Fever's front office could have panicked, but they didn't. They got to work. And job number 1 was simple. Secure the foundation. Reward the players who got you to the doorstep of the finals. And they weren't messing around about who was at the top of the list. Their GM, Amber Cox, came right out and said it. No beating around the bush. She made it crystal clear. The priority will be Kelsey Mitchell. Period. And talk is cheap, right? Well, they backed it up with a whole lot of money. $1.4 million for 1 year on a Supermax deal. In the WNBA, that is a huge statement. It's basically the biggest contract you can give a veteran, and it sends a message not just to Kelsey, but to the entire league. We see you as a cornerstone. You are part of our championship plan. So with their biggest star locked in, the other dominoes started to fall pretty quickly. They got Lexie Hull signed to a multi-year deal, a great reward for all that defensive hustle. They brought back the fan favorite, Sophie Cunningham, for her toughness and shooting, and they re-signed Damaris Dantas, their stretch big that's so crucial for giving their offense space to operate. And just like that, the foundation was solid again. All right, so the core is back in the building. That's phase 1. Now for phase 2, fixing the specific problems that actually held them back in the playoffs. And this is where the front office really showed their genius. What's so cool here is how they identified a very specific need. They want to play fast, right? Up-tempo. But to do that, you need bigs who can run. They needed more speed and athleticism up front. The answer? Monique Billings. She's a veteran forward who can absolutely fly up and down the court. Okay, next problem on the list. You've got a superstar in Caitlin Clark, but what happens when she needs a breather? Who's going to run the show and keep the offense from falling off a cliff? They needed a rock-solid backup point guard. So they went out and got Tyasha Harris, a proven playmaker who can shoot, play D, just a perfect piece for that puzzle. But wait, here's where it gets really smart. This is the brilliant part. These weren't just players they plucked from a spreadsheet. No, these were players with built-in chemistry. Think about it. Monique Billings already played with Caitlin Clark and for Coach Stephanie White on Team USA. Tyasha Harris, she played for Coach White back in Connecticut. And to top it all off, Billings and Kelsey Mitchell were teammates in the Unrivaled League. So you're not just adding talent, you're adding talent that already knows the system and the stars. That's huge. So, the core is set, the big needs are filled, but you're not done yet, right? A championship team is deep, so the Fever kept working, adding players to build out that bench, create some real competition in practice, and always keeping an eye on the future. And that includes bringing in guards Kiana Traylor and Megan McConnell on training camp deals. Now you might look at that and think it's a small move, but don't sleep on this stuff. This is how you make sure every single player on the roster earns their spot. It makes everyone better.
Plus, it gives them options for those new developmental player slots, which is a great way to keep young talent in your program.
And the building process still isn't over. They've still got the number 10 pick in the upcoming draft. A lot of experts have them taking Tanya Latson, who's just this explosive guard out of Florida State. It'd be another move that just proves they're thinking about the big picture. Not just winning now, but staying on top for years to come.
So when you step back and look at the whole offseason, right? All the moves together, you realize none of this was an accident. This wasn't luck, it was a plan. A deliberate, carefully executed blueprint to turn a team that was close into a team that can win it all.
And now, the real fun begins. The excitement is absolutely building. They've got to get through the expansion draft on April 3rd, then the WNBA draft on the 13th, and then all eyes are on May 9th, opening night.
And what an opener it's going to be. Seriously. They're at home, they're playing the Dallas Wings, and on that one court, you are going to see the last 4 number 1 overall draft picks. Aliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, and whoever's the top pick in 2026. I mean, come on. That is about as must-see as it gets. So after an absolutely masterful offseason, it really feels like all the pieces are there. The foundation is safe, the holes have been filled, the chemistry is already baked in, and now, there's really only one question left. Is this the team? Is this the roster that finally brings a championship back to Indiana? So after getting just one single game away from the WNBA Finals in 2025, the Indiana Fever knew they couldn't just run it back. No, they're on a mission to build a flat-out super team. Their entire offseason was about making the perfect moves for a championship run in 2026. So let's dive into their blueprint.
And this mission, it's coming straight from the heart of that locker room. 4-year veteran Lexie Hull really said it best. We still have unfinished business. I mean, this isn't just some goal from the front office. It's a promise from the players who were right there, who felt that near miss. That one quote, it just sets the stage for everything they did next.
All right, so how do you even start building a super team? Well, first things first, you got to make sure your foundation is rock solid. For the Fever, Phase 1 was all about locking down those essential players, the ones who got them to the brink of glory in the first place. Before they even looked at bringing in new faces, the front office had one single focus. There was one player, one absolute cornerstone that they knew they could not afford to let walk.
And oh yeah, they put their money where their mouth is. Star shooting guard Kelsey Mitchell signed a massive 1-year, $1.4 million Supermax deal. That is the highest salary possible, reserved for the absolute elite of the league. This wasn't just about re-signing her, it was a huge statement about their commitment to their number 1 scorer.
And this quote from the GM just lays out the strategy perfectly. Fever GM Amber Cox was crystal clear about it, even said she'd sound like a broken record from last year. The number 1 priority was always Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, after the season she had, leaving it all out there on the court, there was just no other option.
Okay, so with their superstar officially secured, the Fever moved fast to keep the rest of that core unit together. Lexie Hull, the voice of their unfinished business, she was re-signed to a multi-year deal. Fan favorite Sophie Cunningham is back on a 1-year contract, and their stretch big, Damaris Dantas, signed a 2-year deal. So the key takeaway here, that amazing chemistry that took them so far, yeah, it's here to stay. With the core all locked in, it was time for Phase 2, adding some serious firepower. The front office went back, looked at the tape, identified specific weaknesses from their 2025 run, and then made some really targeted moves in free agency to fill those gaps. The plan here was so clear. They knew they needed a reliable backup point guard to give Caitlin Clark a breather, and they absolutely had to beef up their front court with a versatile, dynamic forward. No wasted moves here, just precision strikes. So to solve that backup point guard problem, they brought in Tyasha Harris. But this is the cool part. It wasn't just any signing. Harris actually played for head coach Stephanie White back when they were in Connecticut, where White moved her into the starting lineup during a playoff run. That pre-existing chemistry, that's a massive advantage heading into a new season. And for that front court need, they went out and signed 8-year veteran Monique Billings. She brings size, she brings defense, and she has this ability to run the floor that just fits perfectly with the up-tempo style the Fever love to play.
And it turns out it was a perfect match for Billings too. She said that at this point in her career, having fun while playing is just crucial, and that Indiana made her feel wanted and valued. That right there shows you that the culture they're building is attracting exactly the right kind of veteran talent. But you know how it goes. Even the most perfect plans can face some unexpected challenges. Just as the Fever were putting their blueprint into action, the entire league was getting ready for a major shakeup, an event that could, potentially, pull apart the very roster they were working so hard to build. And that shakeup is the 2026 WNBA expansion draft. With 2 new teams joining the league, the Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, every single existing team is going to have to expose some of their players. These new franchises literally get to build their rosters by picking talent from everybody else.
So, how does this whole thing work? Well, it's a pretty tense process. First, existing teams like the Fever can protect a maximum of only 5 players. That's it. Everyone else is available. Then, Portland and Toronto will take turns picking from that pool of unprotected players. For Indiana, this means they could lose up to 2 players from this roster they just painstakingly assemble.
So how in the world does a front office handle that kind of uncertainty? Well, GM Amber Cox put it really simply. We control the controllables. Their focus just stayed on scouting and planning, making sure that no matter what happened, they were going to be ready for it.
Okay, so after navigating free agency and staring down the barrel of an expansion draft, there was one final step in the Fever's big offseason plan: adding some fresh, young talent through the 2026 WNBA draft.
As you can see right here in the draft order, the Fever are slated to pick at number 10. And while, yeah, it's not a lottery pick, it is still a really valuable opportunity to add another key contributor to a team that already has championship aspirations. And who might that be? Well, according to a lot of expert mock drafts, a name you should really watch is Tanya Latson, a super talented guard from the powerhouse South Carolina program. After she transferred from Florida State, she helped lead the Gamecocks all the way to the national championship game, averaging over 14 points a game. I mean, she could be yet another dynamic weapon for Indiana.
So, when you put it all together, after securing their core with a massive Supermax deal, strategically adding veteran firepower, navigating a whole league-wide expansion, and then targeting a top college prospect, the big question remains: is this the roster? Is this the team that finally finishes the business and brings a WNBA championship back to Indiana?